Hello, I'm Tony Mitra and I have something to say about spraying of glyphosate over our forests. I got a note from one of my Facebook friends, Monica Creva, advising me of an event on March 28th at UNBC, University of Northern British Columbia in Prince George. That's a multimedia presentation titled Starving Moose, Burning Forests and Contaminated Blueberries. Our forests have been turned into monoculture plantations for profit. Softwood lumber is being grown and everything else is being killed purposefully so that it's a for-profit plantation, although the forest belong to the people. Forest ecosystem and biodiversity is being destroyed. Glyphosate is systematically sprayed over the forest by logging corporations. This whole arrangement is approved by our provincial governments, in this case BC government. BC government has no clue on how much glyphosate has annually or cumulatively been sprayed over our forest. How do I know this? I demanded this for this data through Freedom of Information Act to the British Columbian government some time ago, and that's how I came to know that they have no clue. They have to ask around to the logging corporations if they might have the records going back decades and if they might provide all this data to the government so the government could compile that data for me. However, it takes a lot of man hours, and if I out of my own pocket was willing to pay for the extra man hours that the government would need to collect the data. Of course, I refused to pay, and this is the shameful situation that British Columbia government has. It didn't even feel ashamed to tell me that they don't know, and would I pay for them to find out. Now, British Columbia government has never investigated if glyphosate is safe for the forest ecosystem. Again, they have never initiated nor cited any test data or record on the effect of glyphosate on our forest, nor has it studied effects of monoculture and killing of biodiversity. How do I know this? Again, I asked for this information. Show me the records that proves that applying glyphosate on our forest is safe for the wildlife and ecosystem and biodiversity. They have not seen any such record. Okay, now, the forest and our wildlife belong to the people, but it is being pillaged and looted by corporations, while our politicians are enablers of this irreparable destruction. Next, Canada has overtaken Brazil and stands first as the fastest deforester in the planet. The biggest rogue that is destroying our forest ecosystem in the world, on earth, is Canada. We are the biggest jokers in the pack. Biggest. New Brunswick government has an ongoing movement for some time now to stop spraying glyphosate over prairies and forests. Its then Chief Medical Officer, Ailish Cleary, declared that she wanted to initiate an investigation to see the effects of spraying glyphosate over New Brunswick forests. And she was fired by the NB government before she could start that investigation. And now she has been gagged. She is unwilling to talk to the people, to the public. I tried to communicate with her and to find out from her firsthand what happened and interview her, and she would not respond. She has been gagged, in my opinion. Now, finally, Canada failing to ratify the Cartagena Protocol of Biodiversity Preservation Act of the United Nations is, I feel, at the root of all this evil. 168 countries have ratified these laws to support this act. This act was passed by the United Nations in 1990, 28 years ago, almost 30 years ago. The US and Canada are among the few rogue countries that willfully will not support an international act designed for nations to protect their biological diversity. What is even more saddening is that 99% of Canadians have never even heard of this act, although its headquarters is in Montreal and not far from the home of our Prime Minister Trudeau, whose own father was an ardent supporter of this idea, but the son, along with our political establishment, including all parties, have, I feel, no shame in abandoning it. Now, about this organization called, this event in UNBC is apparently being organized by a group called Stop the Spray BC. I do not know them. I do not know if joining any organization such as Stop the Spray BC is a great idea or not. With no due respect to them, I have learned to be wary of registered and identifiable organizations because many such organizations often receive donations and funds, and they usually have an organization structure, chart, and a head. And I have learned that heads can be bought or otherwise influenced by and organizations themselves can be bought or influenced by infusion of lots of money. One thing that the corporations engaged in the destruction of our biosphere have is lots of money, and they use it every way they can. This is also there is also this talk about controlled opposition. Now, I do not know if this organization is good or bad. I leave it for the people to figure that out. Nor do I know the subject covered in the multimedia presentation, how far it goes and how many angles it covers. I do not know. But this issue is very important. The issue of destruction of our forest ecology and biology goes a long, long way in understanding why Canada is in so bad a state, so shameful a state, and it is for the people, you and me, who have to do a lot more than just talk about it and attend presentations. Yes, you need to attend to learn about it, but it needs lot more work. The conservative, the liberals, the NDP, they're no different. According to me, is the same animal with a different lipstick. I mean, it's shameful what the new government is doing. I'm absolutely outraged by the behavior of the forest management ministry of the previous government and the current government, and the agriculture ministry of the previous government and the current government. I'm absolutely outraged of how careless they can be about looming disaster while they keep on yak about some relatively irrelevant issues. Anyway, I'm done with my rant. Please consider going and watching this presentation and figuring out for yourself what you are prepared to do about it. One thing I would advise against is be careful about donating to an organization. You may be better off spending that money, whether it's $5, $10 or $100, yourself to fight the government who is poisoning you. This is just my personal opinion. I would not say that everybody has to follow it. I'm my own person. It's a free country, and that's my opinion. However, this issue is a burning issue. Yes, it needs to be stopped. Glyphosate needs to be stopped everywhere.